Welcome to lesson 1.5, using a problem-solving plan. So there's four main steps when you're trying to approach and develop a plan for approaching problems, especially with word problems. The first step, work to read and understand what the question's actually asking. You want to figure out what information do they have and are they giving you, and what information are you trying to find out. Likely they're going to give you information that you also don't need. So this could be a helpful time maybe to identify what's the extra information that really doesn't matter too much. At that point, you can start to make a plan. In the process of making a plan, sometimes it's helpful to make a drawing to help you understand and collect and gather that information that you've already read. Once you sort of have a plan in place and want to just give it a shot, work to solve the problem. If it doesn't work, then go back, look at the information you've got, and try making a different plan. But if you are able to solve the problem, then you can go to the fourth step of looking back. Take the answer you got and go back to the original question and make sure, does this make sense? Did I answer the question that it's asking about? Uh, Now, I'm not going to write out all of the word problems that we're going to do here in this example, but the auto notes I'll provide for you will give you all of the information that you need, and I will just read through that and then help you solve it. So our first problem says you run in a city. Short blocks go north to south and are 0.1 mile long, while long blocks are east to west and are 0.15 miles long. You run two long blocks east, a number of short blocks south, then two long blocks west, and run back to your start. You want to run 2 miles at a rate of 7 miles per hour. How many blocks must you run? So what I have here is I just took all of those words and tried to condense it down to something that makes a little bit more sense. So north to south, we go 0.1 miles. East to west, we go 0.15 miles. So if I go and just draw a singular city block, north to south, we know that that side's going to be 0.1 miles. East to west, it's going to be 0.15 miles. We go 2 blocks east, so that means if I just do a quick drawing, we're going to start here, we'll go 1 block east, 2 blocks east, and then we go some unknown distance south. Uh, and what I'll do also is I'll just label these as 0.15 and 0.15, or less than 1, so that we know that there's that amount. Then we go the 2 long blocks back west, so we have a 1.5 and a 0.15, and then we go back north, and that will bring us right to where we started. So that then takes all of this information, and to me it just helps sort of sort it out by drawing a picture. Now we go back to that last sentence about what it is that our goal is. We want to run 2 miles at a rate of 7 miles per hour. How many blocks do we need to go north and south? Well, if we're asking about how many blocks are we going north and south here, that's not asking anything about speed. So this whole part about going 7 miles per hour, nothing else in the question talked about time, and it doesn't even matter for the final answer. So that part's just there just to throw you off. So you can ignore that part. Our goal is just, in the end, we want to go 2 miles. So if we add up the full perimeter of this long rectangle, it should add up to 2. Well, the nice thing is when we're going with city blocks, just going north and south, whatever we go south, we have to go back north. So I'm just going to call this length x and this length x. Well, if our goal is just for that perimeter to come out to 2, now we can start having a problem-solving strategy, and I can make a plan. I'm going to add up the perimeter for all 4 sides, set it equal to 2, and then solve for x. So that 0.15 plus 0.15 plus 0.15 plus 0.15, that's going to give me a total length of 0.6. The other piece that we don't know is we have 1x and 2x. So 0.6 plus 2x, that has to equal a total of 2 miles. Well, now we can subtract that 0.6, which will leave us with 2x equals 1.4. And now we can divide both sides by 2, which will tell us that x has to equal 7. So our total distance here has to be oh, not 7, but 0.7. So that has to be 0.7 miles. The nice thing is that we know that each one of those blocks is 0.1. So for us to go north and south, 0.7 miles, that means it would be 7 blocks, or 7 lengths of 0.1 unit. Well now, since we know that it's going to be 7, that means we need to go 7 blocks south and then another 7 blocks north. So the total question of how many blocks going north and south would be 7 south, 7 north, makes a total of 14 blocks. And now if we go back to the original question, does that make sense? How many short blocks must you run? Yes, we're running 14, which would be about 1.4 miles, which goes well with the 0.6 miles that we had from the east and west, and that comes out to 2 miles total. It makes sense from the question that's there. Now the next thing that is on your auto notes as well as here is I have 4 different equations that will be helpful as you're trying to solve the various word problems. The first is a temperature equation that helps you convert from either Fahrenheit to Celsius or Celsius to Fahrenheit. So C is your degrees Celsius and F is your degrees in Fahrenheit. The next one is all about simple interest. So I is the interest that is gained, and that equals P for your principal, and your principal is just your starting amount. So if you take out a loan, it's the amount of your loan. If you are putting money in the bank, it's the amount of money you put in the bank. R is your interest rate as a decimal. If you do it as a percent, it's going to mess everything up. So it has to be as a decimal. And T is your amount of time. And generally, with that, it's going to be T in years, but that may change depending on the problem. The next equation is the distance traveled. Distance is equal to the rate that you go times the time. So if you're going 60 miles an hour for 2 hours, 60 times 2 is 120. Or distance is equal to rate times time. Finally, profit. If you are running a business, you have to pay, you just have expenses up front, whether it's rent for the property that you're on. If you are a restaurant, you have to pay for food in advance before you actually sell anything. So our equation for profit just says that profit is equal to your income, which is your I, minus your expenses, which is your E. So if I make $1,000 but had to pay $100 between rent and my employees, I'll have walked away with $900 of profit. Our final question for our example today is we have to make a leather book cover, and so we need to buy an 11-inch by 18-inch piece of leather. Now what we need to know is how much does it cost if it costs 1/4 per square inch, or 25 cents per square inch. Well, the piece of information we know is we have the size and we have the cost. The thing with the cost, though, it's in terms of square inches, whereas the size is just in straight inches. So if we need to go from straight inches to square inches, that's asking about area. So I'm now thinking problem-solving strategy. Let's figure out the area of that sheet of leather, and then we can figure out how much it costs per square inch. So if we take 11 times 18, that's going to give us a total cost of 11 times 18, or total area of 198 inches squared. So if it's going to cost 25 cents per square inch, that means we end up multiplying this amount of area by the total cost per square inch. So by 25 cents per square inch, which would give us a total cost of $49.50. You know, that seems a little expensive, but the only other thing I could think of is maybe it should have been division instead of multiplication. So what if we divided that? Well, if it was 198 divided by 1/4, that's going to come out to a total cost of $792. Well, that makes even less sense. So leather must just cost more than I was expecting, but I have to believe it's going to end up being this one. And sure enough, it is. So that's all there is to it for this week. Good luck with the various problem solving questions. And as always, if you have any questions, let me know.